Welcome back, everyone. I'm Michael, and today we're getting back into some more Reddit stories. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's begin. This first story was created a little over a week ago in the Am I Overreacting subreddit by user BarrowQueen1755. The post is titled AIO When My Mother-in-Law Calls Herself Mommy to My Daughter. My daughter is just over 3 months old. Occasionally, my MIL watches her when I have things to do or need a break. Lately, she has been calling herself mommy when talking to my daughter. She does it in front of me and my husband at least once and sometimes more, every time she visits now, and she always brushes it off like whoopsie doodles. I'm so used to being mommy, so I called myself that, haha. But today, she gave me reason to doubt that. I called her over to come watch the baby while I took care of a house project that concerned chemicals. I took a shower afterward because of the chemicals. I went downstairs to grab some fresh clothing out of the dryer when I heard my MIL talking to my baby in the other room, and she called herself mommy 4 times in a 3-minute conversation. Do you want mommy to play with you? Are you having fun with mommy? Are you being a good girl for mommy? And mommy loves you, yes I do. She didn't know I was there, and she didn't even try to correct herself. I asked my husband to help me navigate the situation because it's super weird, and frankly, I think it's unhealthy for my MIL to be playing out this fantasy delusion. He said to me, if it really bothers you that much, we can say something next time we hear her do it. Which makes me wonder if I'm making a bigger deal out of this than it should be, but it feels like a big fucking deal. Personally, I don't think that OP is overreacting. I think this is super weird, and it's definitely not a mistake. OP's MIL is intentionally calling herself mommy in front of her daughter to try and actually condition her into believing that. She probably has some sort of complex with wanting to be a mother to a young child/baby again. There were some people in the comments who didn't think that it was that big of a deal, but they did agree that it was strange. But the majority of the comments seem to be in agreement that the MIL needs to stop this immediately. One user named SadMango3913 said the following: not overreacting. My MIL tried to pull this same constantly hinting how she doesn't want to be grandma. She wants my son to move in and tells everyone how she'll be raising him. She would refer to him by the name she picked and would call him her baby. My husband tried to talk to her, but she decided I was too sensitive and that I was actually the problem. She told my husband she'd be waiting for the moment when we realize we're not too good for her help. She's been waiting 2 years for us to realize this, and it still hasn't registered for her. She never even met my son. Husband needs to speak up unless he wants his mother to be the mother of his child. If she won't stand down, then Granny is going to be put on a timeout for as long as you see fit. About 5 days after the initial post, OP provided an update. We maybe got a resolution to the problem in a roundabout way. MIL hasn't spoken to us since this morning though, so we will have to see how this dust winds up settling. This update ended up really long. We had my MIL over for the 4th of July. We made plans a while ago for me to cook dinner for the holiday. I spoke with my husband the day before and let him know that I wasn't pleased with MIL stomping all over the parenting boundaries, including but not limited to the mommy problem. I brought up many points you all gave me, so thanks to everyone who commented. I had let him know that I was planning to say something while she was with us, and I was on high alert for most of the day. There's some necessary backstory before I get into what went down. We have a rule for our MIL concerning our daughter. MIL is not allowed to take pictures of the baby on her phone. We also don't send pictures of the baby to her phone through text or email. My MIL is one of those people who posts every tiny detail of her life to her friends on Facebook. She has a nasty habit of posting unflattering photos of me, which leads to her and her friends criticizing the way I look. She also uses big moments in my life to get attention from her friends and family. She's really addicted to the adoration. My husband and I decided early on that we did not want our daughter included in what happens on her wall with her friends from a consent standpoint, but also to help set up our daughter to be far away from social media for mental health reasons. I know that's a problem that's far off in the future, but we feel it's important to protect her even now. MIL literally cannot stop herself from immediately sharing a photo she takes with her FB friends, so we just decided no photos on her phone at all. We even bought a really high-end camera for ourselves that we allow her to use, which prevents her from sharing but still allows her to take pictures. For the record, we have provided her a photo album with physical copies of baby pictures, which we add to all the time. Anyway, yesterday MIL decided to break the rule. The camera was within reach for her to use and she deliberately chose the phone instead. She thought she was being sneaky and tried to look like she was texting, but she started snapping pictures of our daughter. I happened to be looking over her shoulder and I caught her red-handed. I asked her to stop taking pictures and delete the ones she had already taken. She told me that the pictures were just for her to have on her phone. But I saw her start clicking on the share buttons and she scrolled over to her FB icon. She suddenly realized that I was still looking at her phone while she was doing it, so she backed out of everything and locked her phone screen. I called her out and said, "You were literally about to share the picture. I watched you almost do it," and she went off. She started yelling that she sees my husband take pictures of the baby all the time on his phone and that it's not fair that she can't take pictures on her phone, and that we were being hypocrites. My husband at that point stepped in and qualified that he, as the baby's father, had different rules for taking pictures on his phone. She started whining and called herself an equal partner who could take pictures of the baby if she wanted to, and again called us hypocrites. I told her very specifically that she is in fact not an equal partner and needs to abide by our rules. She pushed further and said that she should be an equal partner, thinks she is helping to raise the baby, and that we need to see that she should be able to do what she wants. That's where I had it. I said, "MIL, you are not the baby's mother, you are not her parent, and you are not an equal partner. You are her grandmother, and that means you will follow our rules because we are her parents and what we say goes." She started laughing at me, very derisive kind of laughing, but I just picked up my daughter, said, "You're laughing like it's a joke, but it's not," and walked out of the room. The night ended pretty poorly. This morning, MIL called to invite us out to brunch. My husband thought that maybe she wanted to extend an olive branch and make amends, so we took her up on the offer. Brunch went well enough. We were all seemingly getting along, but then as we were finishing up, MIL brought up that she had taken some great photos the night before and couldn't wait to share them with her friends. My husband didn't miss a beat. He said, "Why are you still trying to buck against my rules?" Once again, she called us hypocrites, said that she was offended that we didn't trust her, and didn't feel like she deserved to be punished when all she wanted to do was have pictures of our baby. My husband pointed out that we can't trust her because she keeps trying to subvert our rules and continues to undermine us as parents. And if she can't fall in line, then we are going to have a serious problem going forward. She stood up from the table and announced that we would have to accept that we disagreed on this. She refused to talk about it any further and she stormed out of the restaurant. That's everything up until now. We haven't heard from her since she stormed out. Normally, she calls my husband about 3 times a day, so we're pretty sure that she's really mad. My husband and I discussed how we are going to go forward from this, and we are resolute that if she cannot figure out how to stay out of parenting our baby, then she simply won't see the baby at all. I so appreciate how he has decided to put his foot down and help me put MIL in her place, because you all were right. She has really gotten out of control and seems to legitimately think that she is a third parent to my daughter. I also appreciate everyone who had something to say on my last post. You all gave me a lot of tools to show my husband that what is happening here is not acceptable and that if we take a back seat, she is going to happily push us out of our roles entirely. This lady is completely insane. Just as OP said, her MIL has an obsession with getting people's attention. The woman is just a very toxic person. That's evident with the detail that OP shared about how her MIL would take pictures of OP, post them online, and make fun of her appearance with her friends. If it were me, I would have started thanking her after she stormed out, since that would mean they wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. I'm glad OP has a supportive partner in this situation. Many times one of the partners may be a bit of a pushover when it comes to standing up to their parents and enforcing rules. This last post was created just 4 days from the time of this recording, so I'm sure we will be getting more updates in the near future. If we do, I'll be sure to update you all in a new video, so make sure to subscribe. This next post was created back in December of 2021 by a user named Individual Diamond 606. The original post was actually deleted, but it was reposted to the user's account. The title of the original post was "My Mom 60 wanted to force a reconciliation between me, 35 female, and my sister, 32, but it backfired. I don't know if I want her in my life anymore." Background: I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16. We were together until I graduated high school when he proposed and I rejected it. There was a lot of drama with my family asking me to reconsider because we could have a long engagement or make a promise to reconcile. My relationship with my brother, 36, suffered for a while, but the one with my sister, 32, never recovered. She was sure my ex was the best fit for me, and it became unbearable when she started dating my ex's brother. My ex was invited everywhere by my siblings, even on some family holidays, but I didn't say anything since he was their friend. That is until my sister started to push for us to get back together. My sister did everything from trying to get us on blind dates to making us share a room during holidays. No matter the occasion, my ex was invited to it. After a while, I had enough and asked my parents to intervene. They were clear with my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to things or allowing him to tag along so much. It was slightly better, but while my brother backed off, my sister didn't. It all came to a crash when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from another university but from the same country, and we just clicked. It was magical for me, and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was very happy for me, except my sister. She kept insisting I was in the honeymoon phase and will grow out of it. I clearly didn't, and after many fights and attempts to reunite myself with my ex, I simply let her know if she pulled anything again, I would stop talking to her. What does she do after that warning? Makes me her maid of honor and requests I spend all my time with the bridal party, aka my ex. She also set up one of her friends as my husband's date, when the friend didn't even know he was married to me. We didn't realize it until we were at the reception, and the poor girl tried to make a pass at my husband. My sister said that since we are not married, it is okay to explore things with other people. I left the party and the next day spoke with my parents and brother. I explained that while I won't make them choose, I will not talk to my sister ever again, and if they try to fix stuff between us, I will simply cut contact with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision, and apart from 2 attempts from my mom, I haven't spoken, written, or anything with my sister in the past 6 years. My sister has tried everything to reconcile with me, from gifts to tantrums, but I simply don't talk to her at all. If we are at a family event or dinner, I simply act like she doesn't exist. At first, she made snarky comments or tried to create drama, but since nobody backed her up, she gave up. She did have a meltdown when she was informed she was invited to my wedding, but would not be part of any preparation. My brother says he feels guilty for going along with it for so long, and his relationship with my ex has suffered ever since. They still talk, but they are not as close anymore. Here's the issue. My mom's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I finally announced we were expecting our first child. This is not the first grandchild, but the first granddaughter. Everybody was very happy except my sister. My mom noted that and asked me for tea the other day. My sixth sense told me not to go, but I wanted to be positive. The first thing I noticed when I arrived was my sister's car. Then as I entered the door, there was my sister, her husband, my ex, and his mom. They wanted to have an intervention since my childish tactic had gone on for so long. My ex said that he was just trying to be romantic, but he understands I couldn't appreciate it. His mom said I was just hurting my sister for wanting the best for me, and she apologized already, so I need to forgive her. I was just sending texts to the rest of my family and looking at my mom in disbelief. My BIL had the balls to tell me I was a hurtful person and I need to learn how to act like an adult since I am having a baby now. Then my mom began reading a letter about how hurt she was. Her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong, but she was well-intended, etc. Then my sister read her letter and began crying and telling me basically another version of what the rest did. I said nothing to anybody. I just sat there until my brother arrived. He was angry beyond anything I've ever seen before. He grabbed my stuff and told them all he was really disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then, I was just sobbing and he kept saying sorry. I am unsure what happened in there, but I sent everybody except my mom an email with my lawyer's number and info attached and stated I don't wish to be contacted by any of them ever again. And if they do, I will go to the police. Nobody has contacted me, but I know from my dad that my mom and sister are hysterical. They told him they hope to repair things and for my sister to be able to be in my baby's life. Maybe, possibly being a godmother. My dad is staying with my brother at the moment. They support me, but some others in the family don't. I've even had mutual friends call me since they are worried about my sister's well-being and asking me what happened since she is now going by the narrative that my husband is keeping me away from my family. I hate having my business in public, but I did go the public route and posted a long FB post about everything that happened. Sister, Bil, and ex are being dragged, which, even if it wasn't 100% intended, I feel is deserved. Now, my mom has been inconsolable, which does make me feel bad, but not as bad as how she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to have a talk with her a couple of days ago and laid the ground rules for any possible future interaction. I included therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister, and separate holidays. Most importantly, if she ever pulls anything like this again, she will for sure be cut off. She feels this is too much but is willing to do it. She thought it meant immediate access to baby news and that it was all solved now, but I told her it is a process and she needs to prove she has improved. My dad and brother refuse to talk to my sister, and they keep apologizing for not stopping it earlier. We've forgiven them since they were able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide, but my MIL is unsure cutting my mom's access to her granddaughter is the way to go, but says it is ultimately my decision. I am torn about what to do with my mom. TLDR, haven't talked to my sister in 6 years because of her obsession with me and my ex. My mom organized an intervention on her behalf so we could reconcile, and now I'm unsure if I even want my mom in my life anymore. Edit. I want to thank you for the amount of support and advice so far. I want to give a little more info that is in my comments since there are too many for me to answer them all individually. My ex and I broke up when I was 18. He is 37 now. The reason for our breakup was that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister's insistence comes from the fixation of wanting the both of us to marry brothers and be best friends. My mom has always been so nice to my husband, but I am beginning to think it was all a facade, which makes me very sad. My ex has been with people since the breakup. He also has 2 kids with an ex, but he's never been married. My sister says that is a very romantic thing to do since he has only ever wanted to marry me. I should also mention his obsessive behavior is not only with me. I know from the grapevine he was very similar to the mother of his children, but now he is refocusing on me because my sister is encouraging it since she needs his help to get back in my good graces so she can be a good aunt. My brother did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away from home for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which further deteriorated his relationship with my ex. This is because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays, my husband is one of my brother's closest friends, and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew or to not be rude. Both my parents seem to be supportive of me not wanting to be around my ex so much, but I guess only my dad was in agreement. On the day of the tea party, my mom told him she was making me my favorite tea and sweets, but he couldn't stay since we would have quality time together. My dad left to go hang with my uncle since he thought it was a nice sentiment from my mom. He is very pissed off. My husband tried very hard with my sister when they met, but now he just ignores her and believes she is mentally unwell. We don't know if she is or not, but still, there is no excuse for how she behaves. They invited my ex and his mom because they thought it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister, or at least that is their official version. Also, we are not Indian and not really religious. My husband and I are from the same race. There is also no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband. If there is, it would be in favor of my husband. Lastly, my sisters-in-law, both my brother's wife and my husband's sisters, are enraged about the situation. My husband and his sisters will be talking with their mom about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering going no contact with my mom permanently. In the meanwhile, they will not allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I read, the more I think I might have to go no contact with my mom for the sake of my kid. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were faked, but says he is even more enraged that she made me cry and doubt I was a good person. I realize there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mom, but I will definitely be going for a restraining order against my sister and the ex. Semi-update. This is the state of my family so far. I had a conversation with my mother, but she insisted she knew best. I am a bad person and she will be getting grandparents' rights or even custody. I know nothing about what she said, but I still panicked, so we sent her a letter about it. My dad moved out indefinitely. He told her that he could not sign up for her terrorizing his kid. My brother and his wife also decided to go no contact. I know it seems very sudden, but I think I undersold the level of despair I had after the intervention. My husband told them afterward that they had to think very well about what they appreciated and to be kind and receptive to everything. but we would not raise a kid on a toxic environment. My husband is very heartbroken about my mom and her fakeness. He says she will never get anything from him. That is as much as revenge goes here. My husband and sisters talked to my MIL about her comment and made her understand why it was wrong. As many of you assumed, she is a very loving mom from a loving family. My dad and brother keep apologizing for any role they played in this. My dad can't believe it went to this point. He says it is still surreal for him. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they are willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous fight my mom or sister put. So that was a lot to digest. For about the first 25% of the post, I thought it was just OP's sister who wanted her to get back with her ex. I didn't expect her ex to actually want to get back together too. When I heard that OP's sister was making such an intense effort on getting the two back together, I instantly suspected that it was for selfish reasons. She just thinks it would be cute if two sisters ended up marrying two brothers. I'm actually shocked at the amount of people that are on OP's sister's side. Those people, including OP's own mother, are trying to wreck a marriage. Absolutely insane. It's not like OP's husband is a bad person or anything. In fact, based on what OP has been saying, he's a great person. I find it unbelievable that OP's mom actually threatened legal action and to forcibly steal OP's baby if they didn't reconcile. One user named SpySees said the following: "Here's an alternate interpretation of your sister's bizarre behavior. Your sister is and always has felt jealous of and threatened by you. She doesn't really want you to get back together with your ex. She just observed years ago that it made you uncomfortable to have him around, so she is using him to drive you further away from the family and to provoke you so that she can claim to be the injured party. She is manipulating the ex, his family, and your mother. She has feared for the last 6 years that your family would choose you and she would be pushed out. So she has invented this narrative that she wants to be in your life so that she looks like the victim and the more reasonable one. Now that you are pregnant with a girl, she is more threatened by you than ever, and she will feel threatened by your child because she fears that your mother will be closer to a granddaughter than a grandson. She may also attempt to manipulate your father and brother as well, but she may be willing to lose them to keep your mother. So long as your mother is buying into your sister's BS narrative, your mother isn't a safe person for you or your child. Turn to the supportive members of your family, including your in-laws, and live your best life. Invite your father and brother to holiday events that don't conflict with other plans. Don't escalate the competition. Your mother is the only one who can repair your relationship with her, but she has to understand what your sister is doing first, and she's too close to it to see right now. You can't really help with that except to quietly and firmly stick to your guns. Your mother has to make the first move to reconcile with you by admitting that the intervention was a huge mistake. But if she's threatening legal action to get custody of your child, you need to shut her down now. Good luck. Your sister is probably going to be a problem for you for a while. I'm glad that you escaped her pull at least. About a week after that post, OP provided an update titled Final Update. However, this would not actually be the last time we hear from OP. I want to thank the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post it here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original was. Things are great and horrible at the same time, but I am trying to remain positive about everything. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and the little cousin. They explained grandma would not be part of their lives anymore, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really hard, but the kids are smart. They were also told that the other aunt is no longer in their life, but they don't care because they dislike her, not because of me alone, but simply because she is not exactly great with them either. My mom lost it when she was informed and started claiming she had rights and she would get to see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly due to my brother's MIL coming to visit and we having the space. He is really sad. He has called divorce lawyers already, moved bank stuff, etc. He has been getting countless emails, messages, and calls from my mom, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer told him to not block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but nothing yet. I got a huge spike in my blood pressure a couple of days after my last post here because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mom knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knew my mom, and I hadn't had the time to inform her she was not allowed to come in anymore. I was just coming from some errands and I saw the car. This time I didn't get in. I called all of my relatives and my husband's sister. She confronted them and told them to either leave or I would call the police on them for trespassing. They left and I started feeling bad. We went to the doctor and they told me all the excitement was not good and I needed to start relaxing or it would hurt the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle, and husband, and he took every single thing he could think of. My husband says my sister was there too, and she kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mom and sister they almost killed the baby, and he also didn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but he wasn't going to do anything. I am devastated and very sad for my nephew since he is losing so much of his family because his mother has some wacky ideas, but it is what it is. As per the custody and grandparent rights, my mom wants to throw around so much. My lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she keeps harassing me, it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter addressing the harassment. Both mom and sister have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all of this coming to light, it is obvious they have been in agreement for a long time. I will focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy, and attending therapy. After that post, OP took a break from Reddit that lasts several months. In the third post, she said this: "Hi, I've received some requests for an update and had a little time, so I decided it could be a good fit. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your comments, messages, and advice. I feel we owe you for being even more paranoid than we were. A couple of people asked me what method we used to know the gender of the baby. I announced it after 20 weeks. The reason for waiting so long is we have experienced a loss in the past, which we were preparing to announce when it happened, and we wanted to be sure and have a safe feeling about the announcement. Also, we were naive enough to think it would be special for my mom. And you were right. After posting, I handed it to my husband and he read your messages, comments, and advice for some days. We swept the house and thankfully found nothing, but we felt extremely unsafe, so we went to a hotel with my dad. But then we realized there was a tracker on my fur baby's vest. He is a very small dog and gets cold a lot, so he has a funny vest. Never in a million years would I have thought of looking there, but we discovered the tracker when my dad walked him around the hotel area and my sister came and asked him about reconciliation and me. I was really upset, so we decided to move. Thankfully, we can afford it. We are renting at the moment and also renting out our place, so it is not just empty. I used to love that house, but now I feel it is ruined and tainted somehow. Sadly, my parents' house feels the same, and not only for me. We all changed our numbers, got new electronics, and notified employers, friends, and police. We also started therapy and family therapy. My dad and brother feel extreme guilt over the situation, even if I have truly forgiven them, but we are healing as a unit. My sister and mom insist they are not wrong and they don't need therapy. My dad made a new will in which my sister's son gets a trust fund and some inheritance, but my sister gets a token amount. He is truly done with her. I was feeling bad for her, but I decided to focus my energy on my baby. She is here, and we are blessed. It is not the experience I thought of since my mom is not around me anymore, but so many friends and family members have truly surprised us. By the end, we were so paranoid we started testing some people we were unsure of, telling them I was going into labor. It worked like a charm. We discovered who was still feeding info to my mom and sister and cut them out. The rest understood when we explained the reasoning. My ex, whom my friends now call Bates, went around saying the baby was his because we've been having a torrid affair due to my undying love for him. Nobody believes him anymore, but it made my husband contact Bates's employer and tell him about all the craziness. Long story short, he was put on suspension pending internal review. I am almost positive he will be fired since they have asked us for more and more info, and they seem really apologetic. My mom has tried to find us, but all the people who know of our location have gone no contact with her. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter stating that due to her instability, all correspondence would be through lawyers now. It has been us and my dad because I felt so bad for him being alone. He promised he would be fine and that nothing was my fault, but I still felt awful. He has been the best babysitter, feeder, and diaper changer in the universe. My nephews are loving as always, and my dad even got a visit with my sister's son. It came about because she kept making videos threatening to hurt herself if my husband didn't stop alienating her family. So my dad emailed her about seeing her son and told her he would call the police about her threats, so that seems to have stopped it. Lastly, someone brought up that I gave Bates false hope. It can't be further from the truth. I spent years uncomfortable because I thought he would move on. Then after I spoke up and met my husband, I spent such a long time fighting my sister about it. I had a very long engagement, which is why I married after my sister. I still love my mom and sister, but I chose a healthy life for me and my family over that love. Through this whole thing, I have discovered a lot of loyalty, love, and compassion. As strange as it may seem, I feel lucky it all exploded. Hopefully, this is not much of a ramble. Big hugs from me. 3 months after that post, OP created another update, this time containing information on Bates specifically. We officially moved into a new house with my dad moving into the guest house. We had many discussions both in and outside therapy, and we decided that while it would be good for him to be with us, we all still need our space. We are still renting out the old place and we'll be deciding what to do later. My dad has the grandchildren all together about 3 times a week now. He still has to see my sister's kids separately since she refused to let him take the kid unless she knew where he lived. Which, to be fair, is a normal thing, but considering she is crazy, we don't want her close. My mom complained to the lawyers about how unfair it is for my dad to still get to see all grandchildren, but there is nothing she can do about it. About a month ago, my dad told me he had a confession and my stomach started hurting. He pays for my sister's kids' schooling and babysitting, which is why she still allows him to see him. He felt so guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I assured him it was nothing wrong and asked him to please not feel bad. On Mother's Day, my dad got an email with a link to an Instagram account in which they made a sad video about my mom. In it, they said how most of her family has abandoned her and how much of a saint my sister is for being there for her. It was really pathetic and enraged me, but I just sent it to the lawyer. Dad officially filed for divorce in May and the process is still ongoing. My mom insists he is wrong, but my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I think that is final. My brother and husband took my dad out for Father's Day and had a blast. My sister posted many things that day, but they managed to block my dad from even learning about it because we wanted him to enjoy it. They also did a camping trip with the kids, aka went to a hotel, got a suite, and put a tent in the middle area for the kids and a little teepee for the baby. Honestly, having this baby is one of the best things that have happened to me, and seeing my husband being the amazing father I knew he would be makes me so happy. It is tiring, but we have so much support. I feel grateful beyond anything because I have my rocks on my side. My sisters-in-law and I now get to have a little calendar for sharing things all the kids get to do together. Right now, they are all obsessed with the baby and say they are her protectors. We get little get-togethers, brunch, etc. Honestly, having family time is now a pleasure and not a headache without my sister there. I know it's wrong to say, but she sucks the positivity out of the room. My MIL also loves having time with the baby and stays in the guest room about once a week. She asked politely and said she didn't want to take the baby for sleepovers or anything. I feel respected and heard by her, and yes, I have broken down sometimes because I miss my mom a lot. I miss the mom I had or thought I had, not the one that told me I would be a terrible mother or was a hateful woman. My therapist says it's a marathon and to focus on the good. Speaking about good, Bates was terminated. Not only that, but his reputation in his industry was not only damaged but nuclear level damaged. So was his brother's, but because my brother-in-law is not in an industry that cares as much about reputation, he still has his job as far as I know. Bates sent me a 12-page, double-sided single-spaced letter about how hurt he was. I am denying him what's his, and my husband is so threatened by him that he had to go and destroy him professionally because he would not be able to destroy anything else. I didn't actually read it, but my lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard from the grapevine that the mother of his children moved and he didn't even care and said it was for the best. This man doesn't even care about his kids and wants to play family with the baby and me. Sadly, he won't be homeless or anything because mommy has already let him move back in with her, so I doubt he will learn anything from this, not the flashiest of updates. Oh, and my husband burnt or donated every single item given to him by my mom or my parents with my dad's blessing. He says life is too short to give her space in his life, even with memories. And the final update was created just 10 days from the time of this recording, meaning that OP was gone for about 2 years since that last post. Hi Reddit, long time no see. I have some updates for you, but first I want to thank you for all your comments and messages. My parents are divorced now after many fights and tantrums from my mother. She kept the house and got a bulk payment, but that is it. My dad is like a new man, and we are all so happy for him. Here's a bit of a throwback. When all of the drama happened, we did not fire our cleaning lady. This is a woman who had been helping my husband's family for decades, and I was very stressed out about her being out of work because of what my crazy family did. Also, we are not slobs, and she is not polishing floors on her knees or anything like that. In any case, my dad spoke with her and told her she was on paid vacation, and until we had a new house, to please wait for us if she wanted. But she was absolutely not fired. She was really happy about it, and so was her family. My dad started to get food and stuff from them from time to time because they were so thankful for what he was doing for them. She has a sister who owns her own nail salon, and my dad is dating her now. She is a very lovely woman and has grown children, so she understands the dynamics that sometimes happen. He has been very clear that he is not moving or marrying, and she is pleased with that because she likes her independence. My mother nearly had a stroke when she heard about his new relationship and kept saying it was a late midlife crisis and he had to resort to being a sugar daddy. This is obviously just what I heard because I don't have any contact with her. But the last I heard, she was having a hard time. She is struggling because she was never good at budgeting and relied on my dad to put a stop to ridiculous purchases. My sister is also struggling because my dad is not helping her with money anymore. You see, he was willing to keep helping for the sake of my nephew, but things got very rough. My nephew started calling my kid an affair baby and how she is not with her real dad. He called my other nephews delusional, and during a birthday party, he even pushed one of my nephews on my husband's side, saying they were not my kid's cousins, only he was. The kids were perplexed and so confused, but immediately told an adult about it. My dad spoke with him, but he kept repeating it. He spoke with my sister, and she said she could do nothing to prevent a kid from telling the truth and that all kids always tell the truth. He told her that until there was a change, he would cut them off. She panicked and cried, but she is also super stubborn, so now my nephew goes to public school because, quote unquote, my husband made my dad cut them off. Bates, well, he is still unemployed. I know I was cryptic about it, but he was in an industry related to vulnerable women and some of it related to stalking. That's why he was fired. The organization he was in didn't want this to splash on them. I have received 2 more very long handwritten rambling letters from him, and since he only has my lawyer's address, he receives them all. I love my lawyer and he is a champ. Apart from that and the gossip, I have not had bad issues related to him except for one. I was at the grocery store and a random woman came over to ask if my kid was Bates's baby. I was speechless and shocked. I asked her what she was on, and she said he had a photo of us on his profile, and I should be ashamed of myself for hurting such a good man. It turns out he is still going by the narrative that my kid is his, and I loved him so much. That is all old news, but in the end, what shocked me the most was the picture comment. This is not a photo that has been public or anything like that. It was sent to a family group once, and that is it. I told my husband immediately, and he was enraged but composed, so we decided to smoke out the rat. Long story short, it was my dad's 2 sisters feeding information to my mom. My dad was so disappointed but also had no doubts about cutting them off. They are still begging him to talk to them again. My brother and his family are doing great. We see them a lot and have been on some family holidays since the last update. They are also no contact with my mom and sister. My sisters-in-law are actually super happy about it because it turns out she was not a fan of our mom but kept the peace. My in-laws keep being lovely as well. We allow MIL overnight babysitting now too, and she is over the moon with it. Sometimes she has all her grandchildren under the same roof, and they are all delighted to be with her. She is a former flight attendant, so their favorite game is to pretend airplane. Overall, they love her, and we know she is good with our kids, so we do not worry. She had to make her socials private because my mom kept stalking her. I am sure she is extremely jealous, but she made her own bed. Lastly, my husband keeps me sane whenever little things come up. We are thinking about whether we should have another baby or maybe adopt one. We are still undecided. We have a great support system and the privilege to have these conversations. I still miss my mom a lot. I sometimes cry when I realize that there are milestones I can no longer share with her, but she is a bad person and the safety of my family matters more. Last fun fact, this Father's Day, they actually went camping. It went great, apart from the mosquito bites and some ill-placed sunburns.